Humans make incredible discoveries every year, so today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at some recent discoveries. Maori travelled to Antarctica at least 1,000 years before Europeans. The Maori people are the indigenous population of New Zealand. They arrived in New Zealand between 1320 and 1350 in canoe voyages, travelling from East Polynesia. Having lived separately from the outside world, in isolation with just each other on the island, the Maori people developed a culture distinct from other Eastern Polynesian cultures. While these differences in languages, performance, crafts, and mythology are all noted differences, what is less acknowledged is their travel to Antarctica, which new research suggests the group did more than 1,000 years before Europeans did. Relatively recent research suggests that Maori people may have reached Antarctica as early as the 7th century, centuries before the first European missions would begin venturing out towards Antarctica. The new study, published in the Journal of the Royal Society of New Zealand, takes a new look at history, offering a fresh perspective as the previously overlooked pieces of historical evidence have connected some dots and filled in historical gaps. Some of the newly considered sources include Maori oral narratives, events documented through carvings and weavings, and what is referred to as grey literature. The lead author of the study, Priscilla Wehi, a conservation biologist at New Zealand Government Research Institute, Manaki Whenua, explained that piecing all these clues together very clearly shows a link to Antarctica and that these links have been present since the earliest forms of voyaging. A number of oral or spoken Maori traditional tales recount the early adventures in the exploration of the Antarctic. Some of the Maori tribal groups, including Ngati and Te Atiawa, share the journey of an explorer called Hui Te Rangiora, who led his vessel to Antarctica, where he found a foggy, misty and dark place not seen by the sun. These oral narratives share stories not just of the Antarctic landscape, including icebergs, but also descriptions of marine mammals. Until now, a lot of our understanding of the Antarctic and expeditions to explore it have been focused on the missions and accomplishments set out by European teams. Many historical sources even cite the first vessel to spot the Antarctic continent as being a Russian voyage in the January of 1820, despite the much earlier descriptions we now know were gathered by the Maori people. Priscilla Wehi told the New Zealand Herald that some of the Maori people have been criticising this date for years now, knowing they had prior records of visiting and exploring the Antarctic. Wehi has made it very clear that she and her team are not presenting a huge revelation, nor do they claim to be making the discovery themselves. She stated, "We didn't discover this. It's a known narrative. Our job was to bring together all the information and communicate it to the world." Some other researchers who are involved in the study agree with the likelihood that our history books need amending, offering the justification that the Maori community both lived in relative close proximity to the Antarctic continent and were highly skilled in seafaring, making it a high possibility that the population found and explored the land before the European voyagers made it over. The new study does not look at the timeline and recount the personal stories and information about the Maori voyagers. The research paper also takes a look at the relationship and connections between Polynesian people and Antarctica too. For example, a Maori sailor named Te Atu was part of a trip in 1840, led by the United States Exploring Expedition. More modern research, including Maori people taking on roles in research departments studying ecology and climate change. In the past, many of the sources of this study, for example carvings, songs and oral traditions, have been dismissed by academics. However, within these mediums, the Maori people kept records of knowledge on astronomy, on navigating the oceans, and of geography, all encapsulating the historical knowledge of the population too. Now, many of these techniques are rightfully acknowledged academically as indigenous techniques to protect knowledge, meaning we can use them to help aid our understanding of various cultures and their histories. Some of the Maori artists who visited Antarctica have left small reminders throughout. In 1960, a figurehead was carved for Scott Base, the Antarctic research station New Zealand has in the continent. It was in 2013 when a carver from Ngāi Tahu created an engraved post known by, when translated to English, as Navigator of the Heavens. The base contained decorative features such as celestial navigation aspects, carvings indicating the spirit of exploration, and it is all shown through stars, waves, water, and animal depictions. Where he said she hopes that in light of this study, Maori people will be included in more programs and studies related to Antarctica, where cultural knowledge and information can be shared and included too. As we learn more about Antarctica, we learn more about our world, the people responsible for discoveries, the animals that live amongst us, and the history of our planet. Prehistoric monument in Golan Heights fuels mystery. In the Middle Eastern territory of Golan Heights lies a mystery that is easy to miss, a prehistoric circular monument in the middle of a field. During a 1967 survey, archaeologists uncovered a structure that they believe to be one of the oldest and largest in the region. In Arabic, the monument is called Hlum el-Hiri, which means the stone heap of the wild cat. For centuries, it evaded discovery, as it could not be seen from the ground, and it is only thanks to aerial surveillance that we now know it exists. Since then, excavations have determined that it is one of the oldest and largest archaeological formations in the region. It's estimated to be around 5,000 years old, about the same age as Stonehenge in the United Kingdom. So far, the purpose of this monument in Golan Heights is unknown, although several theories have been put forward about its original significance. From what scientists have been able to determine so far, it appears to have some astrological significance. Some of the openings in the stone arrangement correspond with sunrises and sunsets during the June and December solstices, the shortest and longest days of the year, respectively. As with its significance, no one is really sure who built the monument. The most popular theory is that it was put together by a nomadic tribe passing through the area and settling there temporarily. However, it would have taken a great deal of energy and work to arrange the stones, as well as resources, something that a lone nomadic tribe might not have had access to. According to a 2021 report from Reuters, standing on the ground inside the complex, it looks like a labyrinth of crumbling stone walls overgrown with weeds. From on top of the 5-meter-high burial mound, it is possible to make out a circular pattern. Only from the air does the impressive shape of a massive bullseye clearly emerge. Shards of ancient pottery, as well as flint tools and implements found nearby, helped estimate the date of the monument's creation. Only time and further research will determine its true purpose and origins. Until then, the monument is used during military training exercises, although visitors are welcome to take a look at it and draw their own conclusions on weekends as well as holidays. The prediction of the Titanic sinking. There is no question about it that hundreds of stories, books, and famous movies have resulted from this tragic event. In fact, you might have even watched or cried over several of them yourself. However, have you ever heard about the fictional stories written before disaster struck that seemingly predicted the event that would unfold? In an eerie twist of fate, two works crafted years before seemed to closely resemble what would happen aboard the Titanic. Yet stories about ocean liners were also popular at that time. Could it have been a mere coincidence? We will leave that for you to decide. Introducing the first work, called How the Mail Steamer Went Down in Mid-Atlantic by Survivor. It was penned by a spiritualist and investigative journalist named W.T. Stead in 1886. He told a tale of an unnamed ocean liner that sank in the Atlantic after colliding with a small sailing ship amid heavy fog. The main character was a sailor named Thompson who became concerned about the lifeboat shortage on deck. As soon as the ocean liner began to sink, women and children were first given priority. Panic would also take, which resulted in only 200 survivors out of the original 700 passengers. The author concludes with a haunting line. This is exactly what might take place and what will take place if the liners are sent to sea short of boats. The author in real life was convinced that he would end up dying from lynching or drowning. He ended up dying by the latter method, and on no other ship than the Titanic itself. Coincidence still? We think not. Yet, that is not the only fictional story that mysteriously resembles the Titanic. In a short novel called The Wreck of the Titan, or Futility, a ship called the Titan sails into the North Atlantic, hits an iceberg, and disastrously sinks. What is even more striking is how many connections and similarities there are between the design of the Titan and what the structure of the Titanic is like in real life. Were these authors somehow time travelers, prophets, fortune tellers, or was all this just a cruel coincidence? Whatever it may be, there is certainly no doubt that this haunting mystery will continue to live on. But what do you make of these recent discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.